On Global TV News Express, President Tinubu commissions road in Abuja. In business, federal government to get fresh $5 billion oil-backed loan. On the foreign scene, U.S. appeal court allows Trump's tariff. And in sports, Man City signed midfielder Reniges in time for Club World Cup. Hello and a very warm welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to the live broadcast of the news here on Global Television. I'm Uyi Agmofwegbe, reminding our viewers that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes 276. You can download the Global TV Nigeria mobile app for Android and iOS devices to keep track of our 247 broadcasts. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has commissioned the Arterial Road N16 from Ring Road 1 to Arterial Road N20 and other roads in the Kantampet district of the nation's capital. President Bola Tinubu and the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike led other dignitaries at the event. Global Television will bring you those details later on our major news bulletin. President Bola Tinubu has encouraged Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike to disregard detractors and focus on his transformative work in the Federal Capital Territory. The president commended Wike's leadership, emphasizing that the center's overhaul reflects his administration's commitment to excellence and quality governance. The president stated this during the inauguration ceremony of the rehabilitated International Conference Center in Abuja. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory
the newly renovated International Conference Center. The extensive renovation, which began shortly after Wike assumed office, includes modern upgrades to the auditorium, conference halls, lighting systems, and security infrastructure aimed at restoring the center's status as a world-class venue for high-level summit and diplomatic events. The commissioning ceremony drew top government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, and stakeholders in the hospitality and tourism sector. While commissioning the center, the president commended the minister and urged the FCT minister to focus on the development of Abuja.
I'm greatly honored and happy to be here to reopen this international conference center as part of our determined effort to change the way we do things, to reflect us as people of quality, people of character, people of determination. Don't pay attention to the busybody and
the administration. With this commissioning, Abuja reclaimed its place as a top destination for international events in Africa. Godwin Sunday, reporting for Global Television News.
Thank you, Godwin. Government, ministries, and parastatals across the Federal Capital Territory have witnessed a low turnout of workers as official activities resumed following the Eid al-Kabir holidays. We'll bring you those details later. The Cross River State House of Assembly has suspended the chairman of Bekwara Local Government Area, Theresa Uche, for a period of 3 months following a petition by members of the Bekwara Legislative Council alleging abuse of office and misappropriation of funds. In a statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the Speaker, Matthew Okache, stated that the lawmakers passed the resolution during plenary in Calabar, the state capital, noting that the suspension was carried out in accordance with Section 14, Subsection 3 of the Cross River State Local Government Law. Justice Iguatu of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has dismissed the no-case submission filed by the former registrar of the Joint Admissions on 18-count charge over an alleged 5.2 billion naira fraud. Ruling on the no-case submission filed by the defendant, Justice Egwatu held that the witnesses presented by the ICPC were able to establish elements of the offense against Ojerinde that require him to enter a defense. The candidate has alleged that the All Progressives Congress members had a pre-knowledge of the verdict of the tribunal, a reason he said they were celebrating on the streets of Akure. He therefore vowed to appeal the judgment of the State Election Petition Tribunal. The tribunal, in its judgment on June 4, had affirmed the victory of the candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC in the election, Lucky Aiyedatiwa. Partnership Summit in Abuja from June 17 to 18 as part of efforts to mobilize private capital and expertise for Nigeria's infrastructure transformation. The 2025 Nigeria PPP Summit, organized by the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, is expected to attract high-level government officials, global investors, and key private sector leaders for critical conversations around infrastructure development and financing. A statement signed by the acting head media and publicity, Ifeanyi Owonkwo, says the two-day summit themed Unlocking Nigeria's Potential, the role of public-private partnerships in delivering the Renewed Hope agenda will focus on dismantling bureaucratic bottlenecks and driving investment across sectors including transport, power, broadband, agriculture, and healthcare. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has predicted fluke released in Abuja envisaged early morning thunderstorms on Wednesday over parts of Taraba, Kaduna, and Adamawa in the northern region. It anticipates thunderstorms with rain over part of Kebbi, Taraba, Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna, Kano, Sokoto, Gombe, and Bauchi states later in the day. Organizers of the June 12 protest Take It Back movement have released a list of venues across the country where Nigerians will converge for a scheduled protest. Speaking in an interview, the national coordinator of the movement, Jowon Shanyolu, said the protest will take place in at least 20 locations nationwide. The exercise is expected and aimed at protesting worsening economic hardship, insecurity, and what the organizers described as the shrinking civil space under President Bola Tinubu's administration. Meanwhile, organizers of the June 12 democracy, Adekunle Taofik, in an open letter to the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Moshood Jimoh, says the letter served as a formal and public notification of the protest. The organizers say June 12 is not a date for the silence, but a reminder that Nigerians never beg for freedom. Of News Express returns, U.S. appeal court allows Trump's tariff. Details coming shortly, plus business and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please do stay with us. The second part of this news broadcast now returns with business, where the federal government's plan to obtain a $5 billion oil-backed loan from Saudi Arabian oil company Aramco has been $1 billion, a form of loan from Afreximbank and other financial institutions using forward sale of its oil production. The Aramco deal, if successful, will be Nigeria's largest oil-backed loan to date and Saudi Arabia's first participation of the scale in the country, although the decline in oil price could shrink the size of the deal. The World Bank has reiterated its projection that the Nigerian economy would grow by 3.6% this year, despite the shift in the global trade dynamics. This was disclosed in its twice-yearly Global Economic Prospects report, where it slashed its forecast for nearly 70% of all economies in China and Europe, as well as 6 emerging market regions from the levels it had projected just 6 months ago, before U.S. President Donald Trump took office. The World Bank also slashed its global growth forecast for 2025 by 0.4 percentage points to 2.3%, saying higher tariffs and heightened uncertainty poses a significant headwind for nearly all economies. The World Food Price Foundation has announced the appointment of Dr. Akin Walton in an average return of 1.85%. The Director, Center for Public Policy and Research, Professor Sam Amadi, has
on justice, character, and the price of being principled in a corrupt.
That spent billions renovating government houses. He criticized a system that spent billions renovating government buildings while ordinary citizens die from preventable conditions due to poor health care, lack of toilets and basic infrastructure. Obi warned that continued neglect of the people, coupled with unchecked...
No shortcut to it. If we use shortcut, we will not get there. It is sacrifice. You've seen it every day. We must continue. At this stage, we're going to look for people all over. The ability of a new Nigeria is just a dream. It is necessity. We owe it to ourselves, our children, our future generations, to ensure that our nation is in a place where everyone can thrive, where everyone can live with dignity, and where everyone can reach their full
previous night on the eve of Eid al-Adha holiday. And let's take a look at sports for you quickly. The Nigeria Football Federation, NFF, has announced that the Mobolaji Johnson Arena in Lagos will host both the Men's and Women's President's Federation Cup finals for the second consecutive year on Saturday, June 28th. This year's final features a surprise package of Abakaliki FC of Ebonyi taking on Kwara United of Ilorin in the men's final, while defending champions Rivers Angels of Port Harcourt will face Nasarawa Amazons of Lafia in the women's decider. Manchester City has announced the signing. Manchester City has announced the signing of Tijani Reyes from AC Milan for a reported fee of